Good morning, happy fall, happy October. It's beautiful out, and it's going to be a beautiful day in here too. I wanted to, before we do our two congregational songs, you probably noticed that the platform's getting a lot more full, right? We've got some new members, and our newest member is Mr. Rich Jacob. He told me I could say his last name because he's not in the witness protection program.
Oh, good. At least there's one of us.
So if you would, and are so inclined and able to stand and join in our two opening songs, please do so. He did. He said that.
That's one of us, isn't it, right?
1, 2, 3, 4.
Step one act, it's a simple fact. We can be the change. Don't have to do it all, no steps too small. We can be the change. We can change. We can be the change. Be the change. We can be the change. One heart, one voice, one simple choice. We can be the change. When it calls to you and it's yours to do, we can be the change. Be the change. We can be the change. Be the change. We can be the change. On one hand, be It's up to me to give of my heart. Love is my decision. No one else can tell me to start. And once I decide to change my mind, God will show me how. Love is my decision right here and now. Love is my decision. It's up to me to stand on that bridge. Love is my decision. No one else can make me forgive. And once I decide to change my mind, God will show me how. Love is my decision right here and now. Love is my decision. It's up to me to dance down that road. Love is my decision. No one else can lighten my load. And once I decide to change my mind, God will show me how. Love is my decision right here and now.
My decision.
My decision right here and now.
Please be seated. Take your seats. Let me hear you. Good morning.
Good morning.
I love it. That's invigorating. What an incredible October 2nd day this is. The sun is shining brightly. The temperatures are not too hot, not too cold. And seeing all of your lovely faces is the cherry on top of the ice cream sundae. That's all I want to tell you. It's so good to have you here. I also want to take time to welcome those of you who may be tuning in on our YouTube channel. We are glad to have you with us as well. We wish you were here in person, but we still are delighted that you have chosen to be with us. So thank you. And I don't see any new faces, but I want to ask anybody here for the first time? No? Okay. A quick reminder, please turn off your cell phones so that we can go through the service without any interruptions. And with that, I would like to invite our prayer chaplain, Wanda Fay, to please come up and read today's daily word.
Thank you. Good morning, good people. Or do y'all like beautiful people? Which one you like best? Both. Okay. Good morning, beautiful, lovely, amazing, magnificent people. So today's daily word is kindness. Kindness is the language of my heart. I set the intention today to give from my heart, to show compassion and kindness to everyone I meet. I begin by being kind to myself. I take time for spiritual self-care and prioritize good nutrition, relaxation, and exercise. I am gentle with myself. When I come up short, filling my self-talk with words of affirmation and compassion. I'm going to read that again. I begin by being kind to myself. I take time for spiritual self-care and prioritize good nutrition, relaxation, and exercise. I am gentle with myself when I come up short, filling my self-talk with words of affirmation and compassion. Being kind to myself makes being kind to others easy and natural. I am patient and understanding, and I seek harmony and accord in my relationships. I let the small irritations go, remaining calm and pleasant. I look for ways to lighten the load of others and don't hesitate to offer a helping hand. My kindness helps create the kingdom of heaven on earth. And from Matthew 25:35, for I was hungry and you gave me food. I was thirsty and you gave me something to drink. I was a stranger and you welcomed me. Kindness. Good morning.
Thank you, Wanda Faye, for sharing the reading and also for sharing your enthusiasm with us. Now, please join with me in praying our Spirit's unfolding vision prayer. Guided by divine wisdom, inspired by divine imagination, centered in divine love, and knowing that God is our source, we boldly move forth in faith as we allow Spirit's expanding vision to unfold in our lives, the life of the spiritual community, and our world. Thank you, God. Amen. And now that you're so comfortable in your seats, birthday Sunday. I'm so sorry. Those of you who are, thank you, Suze. Anybody celebrating a birthday in October, please come forward. All right.
Ready?
We're ready.
Let's do it. Can we get a key, Rose?
Oh, do we love, okay.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, you're wonderful. Happy birthday to you. God is blessing you now. God is blessing you now. God is blessing you. You're wonderful. Happy birthday to you. Okay. You know, I have to tell you, when I'm typing something up and I realize I make a mistake like 7 words ago, I don't go back to that word and correct it. I delete everything up until that point. So we're going to go back to the daily. No, I'm just kidding. I would like you to move back into a spirit of prayer and come to your feet if you are willing and able to join in singing the Lord's Prayer.
Our
Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Please take your seats. And now I would like to invite our children to come forth along with their sponsors so that we may bless you. Please join in with me. We love you, we bless you, we appreciate you, we behold the Christ in you, and know that you are empowered to do great things.
This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine.
I am an everyday mystic. I want to see God every day, all around and deep within me. When I meditate, when I pray, gazing at the stars, hiking in the hills, driving my car or paying my bills, deep in my heart when my mind is still, I want to see my God, because I am an everyday mystic. I want to see God every day, all around and deep within me. When I meditate, when I pray, in the light of the moon, in the face of a friend, in a beautiful tune, in the flowers I send, early in the morning till the long day's end, I want to see my God. I'm thankful for God's grace, for the peace of inner space, every day, in every place, I want to see my God. I am an everyday mystic. I want to see God every day, all around and deep within me. When I meditate, when I pray, I am an everyday mystic. I want to see God every day, all around and deep within me. When I meditate, when I pray, all around and deep within me. When I meditate, when I pray.
That's why I don't have long hair. I got a story for you this week. There was this guy who really had a case of the guilties. And he decided he couldn't live with himself anymore, so he decided to go to confession. And he goes to confession and he tells the priest, he said, "Father, I'm a thief. I work for a lumber company, and over the years I have stolen a lot of lumber." And the priest is kind of curious, and he says, "What do you mean by a lot?" And the guy says, "Well, I stole enough to build myself a nice, big, beautiful house, and also I built myself another house on the lake, and I built a house for each of my 2 daughters." And the priest said, "Oh my gosh, that is a lot. I'm going to have to think of a penance for you that fits the situation." And the priest thinks for a minute and he says, "Tell me, have you ever done a retreat?" And the guy said, "No, but if you have the plans, I could get the lumber." We actually have kind of 2 topics today that are intertwined, and you could barely see it on the screen, but the other one says, "Making Amends Meet." Okay? And to help us go there, I want to talk about what's happening in a couple of days with our Jewish brothers and sisters, because it will be starting Tuesday evening, the feast of Yom Kippur. And many Jews will tell you that Yom Kippur is the single most holiest day in the year as far as Jews are concerned. And it's really pretty remarkable when you consider that Yom Kippur has no touch or bearing with anything historic that ever went on with the history of the Israelites or the Jews. It's a thing unto itself, and it's really a day of atonement. Or, to maybe better understand it, it's a day of at-one-ment. Okay. That hit me. You guys are going to hear from my attorney. Yom Kippur has been described as the Sabbath of all Sabbaths. It's an extraordinary day that consists of 26 hours of fasting, no food whatsoever, no conveniences, no modern electronics. Okay? No radio, no TV, no riding in a car, no internet, no turning on the gas burner of a stove, no flipping a light switch in your home. And in part of the old law, it was no wearing leather shoes because leather was considered to be an extravagance. Now, you may hear all of this and say, man, especially, if you're like me, who kind of has the TV remote and a holster on my side, that's got to be really, really difficult. And it is a difficult holiday, not because of all of those inconveniences or those impositions, whatever way you want to look at it, because it's a day in which you sit down and it's a day consisting entirely of prayer, a day in which you are fully immersed in your presence of the ground of your being, whatever that might be. And it's a day in which you really take a very personal and spiritual inventory of your life. It's a day in which you go back and, as nearly as you could recall, the past 365 days of the year, where you may have sinned. And I don't mean sin in the classical, traditional way in which most of the world thinks about sin. But where might you have shown up and been better than you were? Where might you have shown up and been consistent with who and what you truly are, instead of shoveling it to the side or running away out of fear or whatever? That's a tough day. And even if you do it to going to the synagogue, you better be doing it afoot, because you cannot drive to get there. I know some people, I'm sure people here are familiar with the 12-step program. There's a lot of overlapping in the underlying philosophy of Yom Kippur in the 12-step program. Because I believe it's the fourth step of the 12-step program, is that you agree to take a moral inventory. And another part of that is you spend some time thinking where in your life you can make amends for troubles that you have brought to other people, and if it's possible, you actually go and make amends. And the same is true for Yom Kippur. So what's the significance of this all, really, if there is one? And I want to talk a bit about baggage, okay? About 10 years ago, when my grandson Matt was 10 years old, I took him to Grand Canyon. We made a trip to the Grand Canyon. And while we were at the Grand Canyon, for a couple days, we took hikes down into the canyon, which meant that we had to come back. And if you've ever been there, you'll know that path that you get to walk on, you don't go 2 by 2, that's single file only. There's a wall of the canyon on one side as it's twisting and turning and winding down, and on the other side, on the very edge, if you misstep or tumble, you're gonna fall 100 feet or more. So it's a little bit nerve-wracking. And the other thing, you know, that if you make this trip, you don't go empty-handed. You bring with you water, snack bars, maybe a sandwich, Kleenex, or whatever. And I'm going to tell you that when I did it with Matt, I wore a backpack, and for years I blamed him, told everybody, he made me carry the backpack. And I even took pictures with my shirt off, because it wasn't straps, it were thin strings, thick strings, and I had red marks that went down here, and I took pictures of that, and I showed those to everybody in the family. And I always blame Matt. Matt, if you're tuning in, or if by some chance you listen to this later, I lied. I determined I was going to carry the backpack. Why? Because I was scared to death for his safety. I really was. And so not only was I trying to pick my steps with this weight on my back, and I started to sweat profusely after 5 minutes of it, but I was also distracted by his steps. And I'm sharing all of this with you to make an obvious point, anyway, obvious to me. When you are carrying baggage, it absolutely affects how you walk your path. It makes a significant difference. And for me, it not only was having to be more careful, it was also a question of becoming breathless and having to stop more often to take a breather and pause before embarking. And I want to tell you something, whether you realize it or not, or you want to acknowledge it or not, we all have baggage. Okay, nobody goes through this life without some hiccups, some mishaps. Nobody goes through this life without having blown it a few times and dealing with other people. Nobody goes through this life without, at least on some occasion, not being as kind as he or she might have been. Nobody goes through this life without living their life and taking actions and revolving their thinking out of fear instead of love. And when that happens, you may not think about it. You may not think about something that happened to you 10 years ago, 20 years ago. But if you just shuffled it off someplace in the recesses of your brain, it's still with you. And it still has an effect on you. And it still makes a difference in almost all of your other activities. And you could try to repress it, and you could try to suppress it. But let's be honest about it, it still has a presence. So what does this have to do with unity? I think the most significant message that unity sends to anybody that comes to the door, and it doesn't take long for them to hear it, is that notwithstanding what the world has told you, or notwithstanding what your personal life experiences may have brought to you, you are absolutely precious beyond belief. That you really have, a significant part of that oneness, that Christ essence deep within you that is absolutely whole and that is absolutely perfect. And that's the attraction of the whole thing. But don't lose sight of something. While that is absolute, that message is true, and I would never, ever, ever want to minimize it. I want to preach it constantly. Hear this. It doesn't mean you don't have work to do. Because that baggage thing that I referred to doesn't go away on its own. And if you're going to manifest that magnificence, you have to be doing some constructive spiritual work that involves taking your own personal spiritual inventory on occasion. I don't know about you, but in my house, the garbage never takes itself out. I have to package it up, bag it, or Susan does, and I have to remove it. Because you can't say goodbye to something unless you first have said hello to it and recognized it in your life. So let's tie something else into this. Any Catholics in the room before, previous Catholics, other than I? Oh, much fewer than I thought. Oh, I see people didn't want to raise their hand and admit it. I get it. Okay, if you've gone through the Catholic system, then you heard about this thing called confession or the sacrament of penance. And I recall as a young boy going to confession, going into that contraption, that big brown box, and kneeling in the darkness, dreading hearing the sliding of the door so that the priest could hear you, and at the same time praying that you wish to heck the door would slide so you could just get this over with and get out of there. And I would confess my sins, right? Blessed be Father, for I have sinned. I cursed 12 times. I lied 7 times. I disobeyed my parents 9 times. I only had impure thoughts 3 times, But of course, that was within the last half hour. And I would have my confession heard, and I would be absolved of my sins, and I was given my penance to do, and I would go out and I would kneel in the pew, and I would do my whatever, my 3 Hail Marys and my 3 Our Fathers, and I walked out elated. Because I was told that if a bolt of lightning at that moment would strike me dead, boom, just like that, I'd be in heaven. Don't get nervous. We're not putting up any confessionals in this church. I'm not promoting the sacrament of penance. My criticism of that sacrament, I think that the intentions absolutely really were good, is that it was about 85% form and maybe 10 to 15% substance. Because it didn't call on us to do what Yom Kippur calls on people to do, or we just were not invited to take that really deep personal inventory. There was a checklist. Review the commandments. And which ones did you sin against? And they say that confession is good for the soul, and it absolutely is good for the soul. But it's only good for the soul if you're confessing to your own soul. If you are acknowledging what it is that you have been about with an attitude of getting better. You don't get rid of the baggage with a simple snap of the finger. And in Unity, we have that catchphrase, let go and let God. And I think that's a beautiful affirmation. I really do. If only it were that simple. Because if you are serious about the unity message at all, and you hang around for a long time in unity, you understand unity is a lot of work. It really is. And if you just hear that initial message about your worthiness and you don't do anything about it, you know what's going to happen? You're going to get up in the morning and say, I feel as rotten as I did getting up like yesterday morning, and I have to do this, that, and I'm not happy about my life, and I'm not happy about my relationships, and I'm not happy about me. Unity is work. So what I'm proposing to you today is you sign on, that you really do some serious thinking. And when you go into meditation, if you're coming out of meditation with a sense of renewal and a sense of strength and a stronger sense of self-worth, that's absolutely wonderful. At once in a while, you got to come out a little bit disturbed. If you're really doing the work and you're really listening when you meditate, if you're really going into prayer, not trying to manipulate the situation, but to hear what's really yours that you are called to do, it's got to be aggravating sometimes. I got to forgive who? And so it's going to require going back in time. And sometimes it's going to require you to actually try to make amends. One of our co-founders, Myrtle Fillmore, we're all familiar with the affirmation that she prayed. I am a child of God, and therefore I do not inherit sickness. But when Myrtle was about healing, she didn't stop at that affirmation. The woman used to apologize to her body for the abuse that she had subjected it to over the years. And it may sound silly, but it was important for her to do that work. And our way shower Jesus, he tells us, if you're coming to the altar to present your gift to the Father, and you have an issue going with somebody, go fix it. Make peace with him or her, and then come back and offer your gift. Because whatever it is that you're trying to offer to God or to Spirit, whatever that consciousness is that you're really in the giving and the turning of yourself over, you know, when you intensify it like that, it has all that much more meaning, and it's not just words. Hollywood would have you believe that true love means never having to say you're sorry. Bull. And you need to understand the significance of this is maybe the person that you love, that you hurt, really doesn't need the apology because he or she really loves you and really understands that it could happen to everything. And there's a godliness to the other person that, and I mean godliness because in God all things are forgiven, and that other person may need to hear it. It doesn't change that you need to say it and to feel it and to be it, because that's where the real growth comes in. The easiest thing in the world is to say, oh, I'm sorry. Phew, got that out of the way. You have to bleed your attempt to make amends. Going into serious reflection could be spooky. It could be scary. You might feel like the Star Trek Enterprise, boldly going where no man has gone before. Because when we have to take that deep look inside, our first reaction is to come up with all kinds of excuses. I don't have the time. You know, I've got this on the calendar and I got this and that. You know, and we know, because we know. We really kind of know it could get a little bit not so pretty, especially if it involves a realization that you were unkind to somebody or something else, and that person's still around, and you really ought to go up to them and say, no excuses. And you may really come to, to that time where you just were dismissive of somebody that you met casually. Or you may just, have to go back to that time where you just felt tired. You may go back to that time when somebody was in pain and you actually thought he got exactly what he deserved. If you think it doesn't happen, you're being really naive. In fact, I've said it myself. When somebody had a hard time, I sarcastically said, couldn't happen to a nicer guy. It's all about doing the work. And this is really important. You don't go in and review those areas that maybe need some work. You don't go in to review those areas in which you've done some wrong. You don't go in to take that personal inventory to confirm what the world is telling you, that you're not worthy or you're not worthwhile. On the contrary, you go in with the attitude that I am doing this precisely because I am worthy and I am worthwhile. And if I'm really going to believe that and hold to it, I've got to play that out. I can't just let that be a catchphrase because it won't work. At 1 minute, when we do the work, it makes a difference. And don't fall into another trap either. What I'm promoting and talking about today isn't about making you perfect. Just this last week, one of my Jewish friends explained to me that Yom Kippur is not about becoming perfect. It's about becoming better. And that's why they do it every year instead of a one-and-done thing. And that's why it should be a regular part of our own prayer practices. And when you have been successful in moving along this path, is when the amens truly meet. And by that I mean you're in unison. It's not a struggle between your heart and your mind. There's cohesion. There's wholeness. And there's oneness. I invite you to maybe dare a bit as we go into meditation. Not just to pray, God, Spirit, what is mine to do? But to pray, no, seriously, God, Spirit, today I'm open. I want to hear what is mine to do. Let's do that now. Here's where I do some of my best thinking and praying.
I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you.
I invite you now to settle in, relax, really relax. Take a deep breath. Allow yourself to be filled with Spirit. And as you expel that breath, a quiet thank you, God. Thank you, Spirit. Let that fill your heart. Let that fill your mind. And take another breath and allow yourself to fall into the rhythm. A rhythm that helps you feel the experience of Spirit deep within the fiber of your being. Allow yourself to come closer to that inner knowing that it's all God, that it's all good, that you, I, we are enfolded in the arms of whatever that God energy is. We are loved. We are cherished. And we are called. We are called to different things. But we all, as unique as we are, and as unique as our individual purposes may be, we all share that we are called for the purpose of knowing and growing, so that we may be even more greatly filled with a consciousness of love, with joy, with peace. And we affirm that truly love is our decision. But as we know and as we grow, we can make that decision not just more often, but louder and stronger. We are open and receptive. And we acknowledge to you, Spirit, that sometimes we trip, sometimes we hiccup, sometimes we fall. But we affirm to get up. We affirm to help one another up. Now, during this time of meditation, we do not lose sight. We open our eyes, our ears, and mostly our hearts, and a yet deeper realization of just how significant we are. And so I invite you now just to dwell in that space and hear what you hear in some moments of silence. And now I invite you to return to this space. And it's okay to do so with an element of being scared or afraid. That fear is an opportunity. Overcoming that fear, overcoming those obstacles, overcoming our stubbornness, overcoming our whatever. It's all part of the creation story that we are here to write. It's all part of the story of being called to nurture and take care of one another, to be present to one another. And understand, as long as we listen, we never could ever be alone. And for this opportunity to come together today, to be together, to share this space, to share this energy, to share this time with one another. Oh, Spirit, we are so grateful. And with as much meaning and intensity as we can muster, thank you, Spirit. And so it is. Amen.
Deep within me, there lies a treasure beyond the reach of pain and pleasure. In the Spirit we can share it together. In the sacred home of the soul. Love is my treasure, love is my path, love is a river that flows through my heart. Love for my God and love for my neighbor, love is my destiny, my guiding star. Love is where my heart belongs. Love is my heaven. Love is my sacred song. Love is my treasure. An inner voice is calling. It's time to follow, to love all people of every creed and color, help those in need and comfort those in sorrow, in the sacred home of the soul. Love is my treasure, love is my path, love is a river that flows through my heart. Love for my as we pray, reaches out to others each day. Love is my treasure, love is my path, love is a river that flows through my heart. Love for my God and love for my neighbor. Love is my destiny, my guiding star. Love is where my heart belongs. Love is my heaven. Love is my sacred song. Love is my treasure. Love is my sacred song. Love is my treasure.
Thank you, music team. Thank you. It's now time for our love offering, our sacrament of giving and receiving. Thank you so much for the dollars, the cents that you contribute. You really make a difference in the upkeep of this church, whether it's visible or not. And thank you mostly, always, first and foremost, for the giving of yourselves, as so many of you do in so many ways. Being here for one another and rising to an openness to brand new consciousness always. So please join me in praying our affirmations. God is my instant, constant, abundant source of supply, and divine love flowing through me blesses and multiplies all the good that I am, I have, I give, and I receive. Divine love flowing through us blesses and multiplies all the good that we are, we have, we give, and we receive.
We already need to atone.
Pardon me?
We already need to atone.
Thank you, Kim. There are some announcements, what's going on in our church. Just a reminder, every Thursday, Warren hosts our online A Course in Miracles at 7:30 p.m. And the course invites us to retrain our minds so that we can experience more peace in this world. The login information is mailed out every Tuesday evening. Everyone is welcome, so please feel free to join them. If you want more information, you may speak to Warren Wakerlin. We're still doing it, at least through October. Every Thursday at 10:30 a.m., we'll meet on the church lawn for coffee and tea with Myrtle and me. We had a wonderful discussion this past week. Bring a chair, bring your drink of choice, bring a treat if you wish, bring your questions, bring your friend, bring your ideas. Everybody's welcome. If it rains or it's too cold, don't let it stop you. We will hold the event inside. A reminder, it's now less than 3 weeks away. On October 21st, which is a Friday evening at 7 p.m., we will have our memorial service here for Stacy, who is just an incredibly significant member of this family for such a long time. You have no doubt witnessed that Juliet was featured in some of our music today. If you would like more of her music, she has CDs that are available, and she'll be downstairs and can take care of you. Lastly, I have to speak about our fundraiser. An email went out explaining in some greater detail than I'll provide here that we, once again, find it necessary to do a fundraiser. The projection is that by December 31st, will likely be running an operational deficit that's close to $15,000. This has absolutely nothing to do with monies that have been contributed and set aside for the rejuvenation of the church, which is also in progress, by the way. Chairs have been ordered, carpeting has been ordered, and more things are happening. But in terms of the day in operations, we're painfully aware that inflation affects everybody. We understand that every trip to the grocery store seems to be at a higher number and all that. We get all of that. Unfortunately, it also affects us in terms of heating the building and routine maintenance and things like that. So we ask you to please pray over it. In the bulletin today, there's a contribution envelope that Kathleen designed, and we're calling this the High Five fundraiser, because a high five is generally used to celebrate an accomplishment, and we are affirming unity-wise that this is going to happen. So thank you for listening, thank you for your understanding, and thank you in advance for your loving response in this regard. And with that, I'm going to ask you to return to your feet, turn to one another, or look across the aisle, and confer upon one another our congregational blessing, which we will follow with our prayer of protection, and then sing out to our peace song. We love you, we bless you, we appreciate you, we behold the Christ in you, and know that you are empowered to do great things. And our prayer of protection, the light of God surrounds us, the love of God enfolds us, the power of God protects us, and the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well.